Well, hi everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we are live on a Friday afternoon, which means it's time to talk about coping with feelings. And I do need to tell you that this week, yet again, I had a lot of them. I don't know about you. Let me know. All right, so here we go. For those of you who are new, welcome. And for those of you who are regulars, thanks for coming back to support one another, because that's what we're all about. Just to let you know, in today's program, I got a segment called The Problem Solver, which is about a battle I had with the Amazon drivers. The next thing is I've got a segment about the feelings of love and grief. And that's a viewer's story. For those of you who know Manon, that's a little bit of a story from her. And then I've got a segment on feelings of joy. I had a chance to teach the girls, Juliana, Kara, and Mia, a new trick. And then the feelings of fear. I had some fear this week as well. So that's what we're going to be covering, and a lot more, quite honestly. And for those of you who don't know, we are a group of people. It's not just me. We are a group of people who get together 3 times a week to support one another through life. Because as life goes along, we all have different things happen to us. And each of them is a moment of either need to cope with our feelings, or our need to cope with life because life happens. And then the other thing is, or it's our need to cope with stress. And that's what we do 3 times a week. Friday lunchtime, like now, and then again on Friday evening at 7 o'clock. These are Pacific times. And then on Sunday afternoon at 3:30 Pacific. So we are really very fortunate to have a regular group of people who pop in and support one another. I'd like to introduce you to Jody. She is our admin and does a wonderful job of keeping me looking like I know what I'm doing, which of course, you know, I don't. So big welcome to everybody. Before we start, let me give you a couple of viewer updates. I just want to tell you that Manon's birthday is coming up on May 9, for those of you who know Manon. And for those of you who don't, she was one of my, in that pack of original viewers some years ago. And she's like a daughter to me, so it's or a granddaughter even, just so special. And another long-time viewer from way back when, Andy, it's his birthday on the 14th. And can you believe that we are already at the end of April? I mean, that's pretty scary, right? The other thing is we're getting excited for Jody, who is getting ready to have one of those lap band surgeries where they put a sleeve over the stomach to reduce it. Jody has been prepping for this for some time, and it's quite amazing the process that she has needed to go through. How long have you been prepping already, Jody, just so people know? And prepping means that they, week by week, they cut down what you're eating, and increase the amount of protein that you're eating, and so forth. So by the time you have the surgery, you already are eating the right amount. She's been doing it since November. Now that's what you call dedication, and that's what it takes, right, Jody? Step by step, they bring you down so that you have the right amount of intake. How much weight have you lost since November? I mean, you'd already lost close to 100. Then you put it back on with the lymphedema. I'm aware of that. So that we don't really have a true value here, right? Correct me where I'm wrong on this one. All right, so here we go. The step 1. And I'm going to do this under the heading of the problem solver. And what I wanted to let you know is that I'm trying to put a timestamp in here. Hold on a second. I've lost my, what did I do with it, people? Seriously, there it is. Hang on a second. What I wanted you to know is that I had this ongoing battle with the Amazon delivery people. And I'm pretty sure that, some of you have probably had this problem as well, which is they kept leaving my parcels in full view of the road. So anybody driving by could see I'd got a Dirty Great Amazon box there. And so from that perspective, it was pretty scary for me. And I want to tell you something that I thought, I was getting angry because I then said, okay, fine, it's my problem, not the, seriously. I shouldn't have touched it, should I? Anyway, so I realized it was my problem, not theirs, right? Because quite honestly, if I wasn't telling them what to do, then maybe it was my problem. So what I did was I took a piece of cardboard. For those of you who know what's going on in my life, I'm busy unpacking literally hundreds of boxes. I moved back into my home after a house fire that I had 7 months ago. And so cardboard is something of which I have a great deal. And so what I did was I cut a bit of cardboard and I went, okay, fine, let me write them a nice note. And the nice note said, hi, Amazon delivery person, please put the parcel behind this door. Now, the reason I did that is, let me see if I can draw this so that it makes sense. These are the steps coming up. I'm trying to draw backwards. That's not easy. Oops. Okay, so these are the steps that come up to my house. All right. And then you come along here, and then my front door is indented slightly. All right. Actually is a little bit of an indent, but there is a screen door, and I keep the screen door open. All right. So what I did is on the screen door, I put the piece of cardboard with the instructions on it.
By the way, you can now ask another question without having to first say my name. Enable this feature by saying, turn on follow-up mode.
You know who thought I asked a question, which I didn't. Anyway, so I keep the screen door open, put the note on there, and waited a week. At the end of the week, guess what? No improvement on what was going on. In fact, I almost thought it was worse. So then what I decided was, okay, what I've got is a situation, it makes it worse. I've got a situation that is still my problem, not theirs. Do you understand that? And so I thought very creative. You see these risers on the steps, like here and here. All right. And by the way, I've got a few more steps here. I think I got 4 going up. So on the top 2 risers, I got a picture I'll show you in a sec, but I put a piece, let me show you. A picture's worth 1,000 words, right? And this was an experiment because you know me, to me, life is a big experiment and I try and do whatever I can to win the experiment. So let me go to albums here. Where are we? Hang on one second. So anyway, what happened was, I will find this picture, people, just be patient with me. So what I did was I took a piece of cardboard, all right, and if you are about 10 steps away, this is what you see, all right? So you can see that that's bright. As you take a few more steps and get close to the steps, this is what you see, a couple of messages, and they are written on a piece of cardboard with reflective tape on it. Any of you use that at all? It's the sort of stuff you put around a post if you don't want to hit it. Yeah. So this is reflective tape for those of you who don't know what it is. Okay, and if you get it near the light at all right, it reflects. That's why it's called reflective tape. And what's wonderful about it is that it reflects in day and night. And that's part of the joy of it, right? That if you drive your car and you have a piece of reflective tape, you're unlikely to hit something. So I thought, this is my next plan. So here was the thing. How did it work? Brilliantly. It absolutely worked brilliantly. What I did was I decided to make it a game, a little competition, and each time they put it in the right place, which is where the instructions were, I gave myself a point. And I think I had 5 deliveries this week, and I was batting 5 for 5. So we know it works. So now I want to tell you about one of them. Had an incredible sense of humor, because the instruction says, please put the parcel behind the door, because there's a little gap there where you can put small parcels behind the door, or on the deck. Now, I've got a 29-foot deck. That's a lot of deck, okay? And here is the door right here. The one delivery driver walked all the way down the deck and left the parcel at the end of the deck. And I went, did he follow the instruction? Yep. Please put the parcel behind the door or on the deck. He did that behind the door. There wasn't room, so he put it on the deck, but he put it as far down the deck as he possibly could. And I don't know about you, but I burst out laughing. All right, now before I go on, first of all, I want to go back a thing, because Jody answered the question. And by the way, she said about Manon, she said that Manon is a beautiful person inside and out. That's exactly how I describe her. So I am delighted that you feel the same way. Jody said about her lymphedema, one little step at a time. I've lost 120 pounds originally, then put 40 back on with the pandemic, and have been up and down in weight with the lymphedema. Okay, so, but basically, we know that your body is doing the best it can with the restriction that it has. And you are down to very few carbs every day and a lot of protein, am I correct? And a lot of it now is in shakes rather than in food. And that's important. And I will be talking more about that in the coming weeks, Jody, as you get closer to it, because I think, what they've asked you to do is obviously the ultimate in what we all should be doing to learn to eat less of the bad stuff every day. And I'm going to be talking more about what I call the Anderson plan, and also about, what you've been doing, because there's something in there is working for everybody. So do you all understand that the problem that I had was not with Amazon, but the problem was I didn't give them the instructions they needed? Because when I gave them the right instructions and made sure they couldn't miss them, I got the right results. So do any of you have any problems going on that maybe we can help you solve with our creativity? If so, either type them now, or if you're watching on the replay, feel free to leave me a comment in the comments. Or if you would rather, if it's a longer story, feel free to write to me at DearMamaSal@gmail.com and let me know what the problem is. And then let's get creative and see how we can help you solve it. And that is what I want you to understand, is 9 times out of 10, when we get upset or frustrated with other people, it's our problem, not theirs. All right. It's definitely, we have the problem. And when we can see that, we can fix it. All right. So the next thing I want to talk about is really important to me, because it is about this whole dynamic about love and grief. And, love and grief are just incredible. they are so close in so many ways. And what I wanted to do was to let you know that years ago, when I first started Dear Mama Sal, I met this incredible human being called Manon. And Manon comes from the south of France, and she is just delightful. And I had the luxury, the real luxury, of being able to meet her. She actually came to Vancouver, and I got to spend a couple of days with her. And I want to tell you, I laughed and I cried, and I felt so blessed to have met her in person, because she is exactly, some people you wonder, are they really like that? All right. If I met them one-on-one, are they really like that? And I want to tell you, Manon was exactly as I expected her to be, and even better. Right. And the reason I am so impressed with Manon is she can be so funny in a second language. To be funny in your own language is a talent, but to be funny in a second language is really impressive. And I want to say that that is one of her greatest gifts. However, what I wanted to let you know was that she's gone through a heartbreak recently. And the heartbreak, for any of you who've ever been in love and then found out that the love that you gave unconditionally was no longer being reciprocated, if you like, was the other person didn't feel the same way that you did. It was devastating for her. And she was, she'd been living with a guy, and suddenly he said, anyway, heartbreak stuff. So what I did was I decided I'd do a telephone call with Manon to talk to her. Gave her a few weeks to just get the worst of the emotion done, and supported her, online. But then, I just said, okay, fine, let's talk. I can't remember whether she asked to talk or whether I suggested it. Anyway, I've got a feeling she might have asked for it. But yesterday I got to talk to her, and it was just such a delight. And you would expect that it would be a sad conversation, and in places it was, but on the other hand, we had such great memories together that it was amazing. Hi Bernice, good to see you, and welcome back. And I want to say that it was just such a wonderful feeling of love, even though what we were talking about was grieving. And so I just wanted to say that all of us need to know that you don't get to love that much very often. And the reality is that you only hurt that much because you love that much. Does that make sense? If you didn't care, it wouldn't hurt. You just go, fine, on. Which, by the way, as some of you know, it is easier sometimes, from my experience. Men seem to be able to move right on without any problem. Okay, that's over, next. But women, for some reason, we take this very personally and get quite angry. And so, not all women, I know, but most of us. And so, one of the things I wanted to let you know is just remember that any loss goes through that cycle of loss. You're going to be in denial. I can't believe this just happened to me. You're going to get angry. How dare he do this to me? You're going to get sad and cry a lot. And you're going to eventually end up with some sort of level of acceptance. Unfortunately, it comes in waves, and it doesn't necessarily come in that order. Sorry, the sun is coming around to my skylight here, and I am beginning to get very warm. So what happens is that, you're going to have these waves going through, these waves of loss. And by the way, I like to say that the waves of loss will take as long as they take, until your brain has got it all sorted out. Because that's really what's happening. Your brain's trying to take all those feelings and emotions and file them away and go, where do I need to file this now? And you're still pretty angry about this, so can I put it away yet? No, I'm still angry. And so it's a really interesting process when you can look at it from that perspective. And I found that when I understand what my brain is trying to do, then I can get through it more quickly. The other thing that I said, and I always say to people, is work on compartmentalizing when you're going to be sad. Now, one of the things that you all know is right at the beginning, you don't have control. All right. Out of nowhere, you suddenly start to cry. And it's not out of nowhere. Just your brain started to bring back a memory and you start to cry. And that's okay to cry. It's good. Feelings are good. They're not bad things, feelings. They're good things. It's how long we dwell with them that is the problem. And so what we were talking about was, I asked Manon, has she managed to go through a day yet without crying? And she has. And that's a major step forward. And I said, well, then, you're on the path of grieving. Well done. And by the way, I was talking to a friend of mine whose husband died totally unexpectedly on Christmas Eve. Totally unexpected. He had some headaches going on, and they took him in for a scan. And when they did the scan, they found that he had brain cancer, and they operated, and they sent him home and said, you need to know he's not going to be around very long. Do what you have to do. And so he died literally within the week. It was the scariest thing. And so I got to speak yesterday to my friend, his wife. And, I was amazed at the things that she was telling me she has managed to do since then. And I'm going to be actually meeting her for a socially distant lunch on Tuesday. And I'll be able to tell you more about what did she do to be able to move on like this. And he was not only her husband, he was her partner in work. And so therefore the loss was doubly impactful. Not only did she lose her husband, she also lost her work partner of over 30 years. And so to me, it was very, very interesting conversation. And one of the things that I said is that some people, if you have got emotional intelligence, you will still hurt. You will still hurt. But what I found is emotionally intelligent people understand that suffering is a choice. All right. And suffering is that you don't torture yourself with it. That you cry and you have every right to cry, and that you have every reason to be sad. But it doesn't have to dominate your life. You can have these moments and then correct them, if you like. Wait for the sadness to pass. How long does it last? For those of you who've been through great sadness, when you get that sort of sudden wave of crying, how long do you find that it lasts? For me, I found that it lasts about 15 minutes, and then I sort of get control again. And then I can, choose to get on with my life, or I can choose to curl up on the couch and turn my back to the world. It's up to me what I choose to do. So I believe that these lessons about love, and again, remember, if you didn't love as much, you wouldn't hurt as much. And therefore, the fact that you hurt is a good thing. It says that you really loved. Now, one of the things that I asked Manon is, was she angry? And if so, at who was she angry at? And she said that she was angry at herself. And I said, did you see the signs and ignore them? And I wonder if any of you have any experience of that, where you were in a relationship and there were signs that things were not right, but you sort of chose to ignore them. Or maybe you decided, hang on a second, maybe I'm just not loving him enough, so I'll do more. and then you ended up still at the same place. Interesting. Jody is saying she finds that when she's in grief like that, she'll cry for about 30 minutes and then she gets herself together and works on processing it and turning it around. And I believe, Jody, that I don't know about you, but for me, one of the things that I find helps me process is to say, hey, it's quite all right that you're sad. You know, it's quite normal that you're sad. But how long do you want to be sad for? You know, he wouldn't want you to be sad. And one of the things as well that I talked to Manon about is if you loved him, and this is the most difficult step, if you loved him, and I tell you this from my own experience, then you will know that you have got emotional control of the situation when you can say to yourself, I love him enough to want him to be happy, even if it's not with me. Think about that. I want to tell you that I was in grief and I could not get over that grief until I made that decision. And the moment I made that decision, which is, hey, I loved him. I might not love him right now, but I loved him. And love means that I would want the best for him. And if I didn't make him happy, then I hope that he is with somebody that does. And I'd like to say that part of the interesting thing about grief is that you check how many times a day do I get that upset? Is it less? You know, do I spend 3 hours a day in tears? And tomorrow, do you only spend, 2 hours and 55 minutes? Look for the improvements because they will come. And what amazed me with my friend is that she already has got a new business partner. And she was telling me she's already lost 30 pounds, and I'll be hearing more about that since Christmas, and not she's doing it intentionally. And so she is on a mission to enjoy the rest of her life. And I think that's something we all need to think about. All right, now then. My next comment to you all is, did any of you, oh, wait a minute, before I do that, do you remember I asked Jody about what she was allowed to eat? She is saying that she is now under 50 carbs a day. That is almost impossible to do because even things that are healthy have carbs in them, and a minimum of 60 grams of protein. For those of you who know about checking what you put into your body, 60 grams of protein is a lot of protein. But if you can do it, the thing that always confuses me, and I don't know about anybody else, but the thing that confuses me is that I was taught that protein was bad for you, right? That you shouldn't eat too many eggs, or you shouldn't eat too much cheese, or, these things. And yet now what they're saying is that a protein-rich diet is actually better for you. Totally contrary to what I was taught way back when. Go figure. Can you all remember when butter was a really bad thing? Probably, brought out by the people who made margarine, but butter was a really bad thing. Or was it that butter was a really bad thing because it was in short supply during the war, and so they tried to make people not want it? I don't know. Who knows? Next, let me tell you about my feelings of joy. Such fun. This week, I got to play with the children. And for those of you who know, Benji and Judy and the children, I actually got to play with them this week, and I had such fun. What I wanted to do was I wanted to teach them how to make anti-slug devices. Hang on a second. I've got one somewhere. Just hold on one second. Sorry about that. I thought I had it all together and I didn't. I'm not perfect. All right. So Jody is saying, just so that we know, that too much protein is dangerous for people who have kidney disease. All right. All right. So what I found out through my research is that slugs do not like fuzzy things, nor do they like, from my experiment, they don't like dryer sheets. And so I was teaching Juliana how to make a super duper one. This is when her tomato plant gets big enough to plant, she can put it over this. There is no way a slug is going to go near that. But I also taught them how to make little mats with cardboard and some of the fuzzy lint from your dryer. And I also, some hair on top of it. And so that the girls can just put their seedlings down and put the little mat around it. And the chances are they're not going to see a slug near it. Now, what I was showing the girls was that what I've done, and I did the experiment this week so I could make sure I could tell them reality. I have started come on. I have started making sections of my garden that I surround with dryer sheets. That's my little strawberry patch. Now, does it work? The reason I did it was I saw a slug heading towards the strawberries. And I went, I'm going to put down a couple of dryer sheets and see what happens. And do you know what happened? The slug turned around and went the other way. There's something about the smell of a dryer sheet that they don't like. And I'm going, wow. And now what I'm doing, since I took this picture, I'm now expanding, as I do more wash. It's moving. It is a moving experiment at the moment. And so I want to tell you that it's so far it's working, but I'll talk more to that. But anyway, that's what I was teaching the girls. And I said to them, do you have any cardboard in the house? Now, you know how many Amazon deliveries they have. And the girls are going, yes. I'm saying, good, don't let daddy throw it all away. Keep one flap, so you can do this. And then I said, do you happen to have any, does mommy do the wash every week? Oh, look, does it every day? I go, okay. So she has lots of the, this sort of stuff, right, from the dryer. Yes, good, we need that. And by the way, does anybody have any hair? Anybody got any hair? And they're going, yeah. I said, where would you get lots of hair? And they said, so we worked out there'd be some in your hairbrush, and there'd probably be quite a bit when the vacuuming gets done. And so, I was trying to make sure that they knew where to find the things. And again, to teach them to not always throw everything out, because sometimes you can reuse bits of cardboard for some very useful purpose. Anyway, it was great fun and I loved it. And they asked me to go out in the garden and show them what I've been doing. So I did. And then I lost the connection and couldn't get them back. But it was really a fun event. And boy, are they growing up quickly. And do you know, for those of you who know the family, the cutest thing was the girls were all at the dining room table, and so was baby Leah. She's already using those legs of hers, and she was sitting up at the table. Jody's saying a great lesson for the girls. I think it was a very selfish act on my part. I love to teach them things. It's one of the things that I believe my gift to them is that I can make learning fun, hopefully, for them. And I must admit, I had to stop them from running off and going getting their hairbrushes and things. And I said, no, you can do this during the week. But next week, I'd like to see what did you make. And Judy said she was looking forward to see what they came up with as well. So I said to them, make different things. you know, make some that are just with dryer sheets. Make some with, you know, with the lint from the dryer and with hair. Make some just with hair. And, you know, and by the way, I taught them, you know, how to make sure they didn't get the glue everywhere. But, you know, this one was an interesting one. And because I did this way, I took a toilet roll and I cut it, then put it over another toilet roll like this, but I cut the bottom of the toilet roll so that it could spread out. Okay, get that? Like that. So it spreads out. And then what you do is you just make a hole in a dryer sheet and put it over there. And then I put the other stuff on top. All right. And then once I'd done that, all right, then I covered it, you know, I put some Elmer's glue on it, on the here. And then I just put bits of lint on there, and then put, you know, just drizzled some more glue and then put hair on there. And when I'd finished, I ended up with this. And I assure you that's going to be a very effective bug thing. Now, to me, I said to the girls, what we're doing here is we're not killing bugs. Yeah, we're not going to kill the slugs. We're just going to tell them, go eat something else, not my tomato plant. And I don't know about you, that is what I wanted to teach them, is not to need to kill things. You know, let's do it the humane way. And they can eat so much more in my garden. I'm happy. There's some crabgrass I'd really like you to go and munch on. But, you know, it's like, please stay away from my vegetables. So there we go. Now then. Okay, here we go. The next segment I'm going to call Feelings of Stupidity. Oh, before I do, let me just read the comments here. Bernice is saying, oh, they're so cute. Yes, they are really cute. And they, you know, they're growing up like weeds at the moment. It's just amazing. Jody's saying, I can picture them teaching these lessons to their friends. Yes, I actually said to Judy, they could start if they find that it works this year, they could start a little cottage industry of making anti-slug mats. You know, so yeah, why would I not teach them that at the same time? This is called Feelings of Stupidity. Anybody feel stupid this week? I actually was on a mission to not feel stupid. I was on a mission to actually achieve a goal. And the goal was that underneath my sink and in my bathrooms, there are holes where the pipes come up. And if you remember, the very first visitors I had when I came to this house were Mickey and Minnie, because they came up through those holes. And so I had meant, before the fire happened, I had meant to fill those holes with that filler stuff. Hang on a second. Okay. What did I do with it? I'll find it. Anyway, do you know the stuff that I mean? You squidge it, and it's like shaving foam. When you squidge it, it goes, foams up. And by the way, Jody's saying, I feel stupid every week, and it's never an issue. Yeah, it's a normal way of life, right? Okay, but anyway, so I bought the stuff, right? You know me, one step at a time. So number one was just to buy it, and that I did. So I was able to say, yes, I've taken one more step. So then it arrived, and you know me, once it arrived, I wanted to play with it. Oh, I know where I put it. You think about it, I put it exactly where I was going to do the next filling of a hole, which is in my guest bathroom. Okay, so it comes in a regular can like this. And what you do is you take the top off it, which is difficult when I've got arthritis, but never mind. And then you screw this in. I'm not going to press the button. All right, but you screw this in, and then you've got a nozzle. And then you press down on here, and it foam everywhere. Well, when I say foam everywhere, I mean foam everywhere. And have you ever started something and about halfway through thought it would have been a good idea if? Because I was under the sink, foam everywhere, and now you're going, how do I control? Maybe if I'd read the instructions, that wouldn't have been fun. Never mind. But then I realized I had foam all over my hands, and I'm thinking it would have been a good idea to be wearing gloves. It probably said that in the instructions. And then I sort of said, okay, well, I didn't. And then I realized it was all over the inside of the cupboard. And luckily, once it dried, it came off quite easily. Then when I sort of tried to get off my knees and stand up, I realized it was all over the floor. And I thought, my brand new floors, I put it all over my floors. I hope it comes off there. And it did. And then and then I realized it was on my top. And it was all over my top in different places. Don't know if you can see that. And anyway, so you know what my experiment this week is. How do you remove filler foam from your clothes? Now, not only did I get it all over my top, any of you laughing at me yet? Not only did I get it all over my top, I got it over my new blue jeans too. And it was like, it would have been a good idea if I'd worn my painting clothes to do this. All right, so here we go. Let's read some comments. Jodie's saying she felt pretty stupid when she was halfway through dyeing her hair and thought, gee, it would have been nice if I'd bought the correct color. Oh, you were halfway through dyeing it? Been there, done that. Do any of you remember Gentian Violet, where you could turn gray hair into sort of a blue color? We used to do it a lot. And then for some reason, when I was in my 20s, I used to streak my own hair. And then I decided to, I found that if you put a little bit of Gentian Violet in your shampoo, it really brought out the color. And then one day I put rather too much on, and I ended up with blue streaks. Before that was the way to go. Bernice is saying, I was helping my sister-in-law clean up and paint a new house, and I wasn't feeling very well. I was doing the degreasing barehanded. My arms and hands already had allergies, and they got worse, and she did not provide gloves, right? Yeah, so this is called, think about that. Yeah, save your hands. By the way, I got it all over my hands. Thank you for reminding me, Bernice. Got it all over my hands. The good news is it's nearly all gone. Not quite. It's nearly all gone 3 days later. Eventually it flakes off. but it said that nail polish remover works really well. I went, oh, I got that. Let me rephrase that. Somewhere in my house, I have got nail polish remover. I have no idea where it is. And when I unpacked it, I don't know where I put it. So think about it. You know, Jody, when you realized you were dyeing your hair with totally the wrong color, did you burst out laughing or did you cry or what did you do? Because I just went, it has a red top to it. So next time you see that red top and you got to pick this up, the red top means change your clothes, put on your gloves, probably put on eye protection. Put something down to catch the foam that's going to go everywhere. You know, that's why it has a red top. Make sense? And then you won't feel so stupid. And I'm sure, without a doubt, that if I'd had my glasses on and read the instructions, it told me all of that. And I probably would not have taken a blind bit of notice. I would have said that's for beginners. I am a beginner. Who was I kidding? Never mind. So the question is, did I ruin the top? I don't know yet. Jody's saying when she did the hair color thing, my eyes looked like saucers. Yeah, I want to tell you, when I looked at the top that I was wearing, it was only 2 shades off, but I was scared for a hot minute. Yes, you know, this is the whole thing. By the way, scared is our next topic. Yeah, in case anybody knows about that feeling. I felt great fear this week. I don't mind telling you that. And you're going, why, Sal? And I will tell you the reason why is because I tried something new. And trying something new is pretty scary. Now, why was it scary? It was scary because it involved trying to put up one of those command hook floating shelves. Have any of you seen those? Where literally it's a shelf. Oh, it's a shelf that you put up, but you don't have to screw any holes in anywhere. You use the command strips, and it is very... Hang on. I'll get there for you, because I know I took a picture of it somewhere. Oh, going the wrong way, apparently. So it was very scary because all my walls have just been repainted. So you can imagine why that was scary for me, right? And the place that I wanted to put the shelf was in my living room. Luckily, it happened after this incident. And so I started by reading the instructions. But I was terrified. You know, I'm going, what if I totally wreck my new wall? So what I did was I totally read the instructions, and then I did what I call a dry run of what was needed to happen. And I realized, first of all, I thought what you did was you actually ended up with the command strip hooks, you know, little strips onto the wall, and then the strips on the shelf stuck onto them. It's not what happens. Jody, just so you know, I think I've already got rid of the box, but just so you know, it's a different system. And so what actually happens is on the wall, there is a command strip with a retaining section on it, all right? All right, like that. So what you do first of all, is you attach the shelf to those, that lot. They all go together. Then you press it all against a wall, and then you push it up, and the shelf comes off. And then you really secure those solidly. By the way, when I put it on the wall, I had my phone, just so you know. I want to tell you, because it actually was easier than you think. I have a spirit level thing on my phone, an app, and I kept my phone on the shelf as I put it against the wall. And by the way, there it is. What do you think? I mean, it looks like it was made for that picture, doesn't it? And it definitely, I want to tell you, the thing that helped me most of all was to have the phone on the shelf, so that as I went to pray, because that's the scariest bit, as you go to actually press it against the wall. And I'm going, I want to make sure I've got it dead center. And I think it ended up absolutely dead center. So I hope you like it, guys. And there's one of those paintings that you saw. And I just think it looks great. What do you think? So let's talk a bit about dealing with fear. Is it perfectly normal to have fear when you're about to do something that could destroy your wall? Especially a brand new painted wall. And the answer is absolutely. I think I would be very weird if I didn't have some level of fear. So I don't know if any of you had any fear this week, but is fear going to help me get that shelf up? No. Overcoming fear is going to help me get the shelf up, because if I knew how to put one up, I'd be able to put others up. I'd be able to buy maybe one every couple of months, save up for them and then get another one. And that way I could have shelves for my artwork. And every season I could change my artwork, because the shelf would just be there and I just lift the picture off and put a new one on. How many of you can see that that actually was quite appealing to me, to be able to do that? And so I'm going, there it is. I can see it. I'm very happy. Remember the story about the TV stand? All right. It's like, if you don't overcome the fear, you're not going to get what you're trying to achieve. Or how about the making the chair for my shower? If I don't try it, it's not going to work. How about, this was a new experiment. I'll talk more about this on Sunday. But, I wondered if I took a couple of leaves from the mixed lettuces that I have, or the mixed assortment that goes into your lettuce, whether they would grow roots. All right. Now, there's only one way I'm going to find out. And I just took some basil, some carrot, and some, not sure what that is, endive, I think. And I just put them in here to see, would they grow roots? Don't know if you can see that, but the answer is absolutely. They all, in 2 weeks, started to grow roots. So, I now have a new thing that I'm doing, which is what regular lettuce? If I put a leaf in, will it grow roots? I'll let you know. That's my next experiment. So the thing is, if we don't overcome our fear, we don't move forward. All right, and Jodi's saying it's absolutely normal to have fear, and went on to say, but also having that fear will help you make sure that you take your time and any precautions necessary to help ensure the success of the project. Fear shouldn't hold us back either, but a smidge is useful. How many of you going a little bit more fear around this might have been a good thing? Because had I had a bit more fear about this, perhaps I would have read the instructions. But I still think if I'd read the instructions, I probably would have said, yeah, that's for beginners. understand why I enjoy my life, right? You do understand that it is these things that I do that amuse me. I really do find that it's like I go, yeah, I'm not the first person to do that, I'm sure. However, let me ask you something, because that is the next little segment, which is how many of you know that now that I've got the hole filled in the kitchen hole, and now that I have got the shelf up, how many of you know that I had a great feeling of accomplishment? Right? How many of you know that? That really the end result was accomplishment, and I wouldn't have had it if I didn't take the risk. So what I ask you to think about is, can you see it that way? Now, the reason I want to talk about that is because once I had the shelf up, I suddenly got brave. I don't know why. I mean, between this and then the shelf, and then I'm going, oh, I'm on a roll now. And so I not only did that, but I put up one. Oh, then I got really brave, something I'd been wanting to do for some time, but it required bravery, which is I put that picture that you all love, right? The peony that I painted many years ago. I put it over my bed. What do you think? So there we go. So that's beginning to look better. And then the water one, I've got to the side of the bed. I'm going to put all the blue type ones there. Remember that one? All right. That is also now on the wall, because I got brave after that. And my friend Patty is a realtor. And when I sent her this picture, she said, show home. And I wrote back and said, do not use those words. I do not want to have a show home again. Right? How many of you know it's like if I talk about my place looking like a show home, that's what I will bring to the fact that it will need to be a show home. I'm going, do not mention those words to me. This is home. It looks like home, not show home. All right, so Bernice is saying, my fear was when my mom-in-law left after her visit. Am I going to go back into brush and hole, which was present before she came and felt like in prison? Oh, I know that feeling. I felt that, but I didn't need rest after all the activity. When she was here for 2 weeks, I needed to recover, but now I'm slowly doing stuff again. Yes, that is the whole thing. Sakura, Bernice, I want to tell you something. The way I got over depression, and I haven't been back since, when I eventually learned that depression is when your mind rules you. If you can control your mind, you will not go back into the vortex of depression. You might have moments of it. But what I found was whenever I start to feel that now, getting that sort of, oh, I don't want to do anything. And I'm going, yeah, right. You want depression? No, I want achievement. Sakura, does that make sense? That the feeling of achievement is so much better than the feeling of depression. Would you agree? And so now whenever, I want to tell you, I had that feeling last week. I nearly, went into a hole last week because I was so fed up of unpacking and there was still so much to do. And I went, and funny enough, I was talking to Yvonne about it. And what I said to her was, I went into the hole for a little while. And she said, are you okay? I said, oh, yeah, I know that hole. And I have no wish to stay in that hole. And what do I know I need to get out of the hole? Do something. And so instead of, and I said, I'm just having a pity party. I'm feeling sorry for myself because, I that's what I'm feeling. So I need to do things differently. And I did. And I went on a mission to do things differently. And so here's the thing, Sakura. I would ask you to ask yourself, I've known you quite a while now, and you're a smart cookie. And you've done a lot to help yourself in the time that I've known you. And so therefore, here's what I say to you. Whenever you know that feeling when you start getting sucked into that hole, ask yourself, what do I want here? Do I want to be in depression, or do I want to have the feeling of achievement? And say to yourself, 15 minutes cleaning that shelf. That's all I need to do. I will get all the endorphins going and the serotonin will be pumping through if I can, and then take a picture and send it to Sal. Now, you know that works for you, Bernice. You know it works for you because we've been through that before. All right, so what she's saying, Bernice is saying, I'm in the brink, but I'm doing stuff. Also, we're in the beginning of the process of moving. So looking for jobs and evaluating stuff. Good. But most of my hubby's job is downsizing and organizing. Yes. And I want to tell you something that I found, Sakura, in unpacking. The easiest boxes to unpack are the things where I know I need them and I know exactly where to put them. It's those boxes full of crud that are the difficult ones. The things I have not been able to throw away. All right. And so now what I'm doing is I have learned another trick, Sakura, and maybe it will help you, which is I literally have one box in the studio into which I put things that I'm going, really, Sal? But it's had emotional value. Okay. Then put it in a box. All right? Put it in a box. And so I've got one big box, which is stuff I hadn't got the heart to throw away. I think I can allow myself that. What about you guys? What do you think? Am I entitled to one box of stuff that, and I will mark it, stuff I hadn't got the heart to throw away. I don't have to have it out. I don't have to have it on display. And I'm going to talk more about that this evening. All right? About what I am learning to do. It's not about that I have to throw it away. I just don't have to have it out on show. That's what is clutter. Yes, and Bernice is saying, I do have garbage bags, the stuff to donate, and trash goes in the trash. Yes, and stuff I have at home. Right, so I want to talk about the stuff we donate tonight as well, just so that you know, I'm going to be talking about that because there's an issue with that. Sakura, I would be delighted if you would start taking pictures again. All right, and I will send you my pictures of my crud. Yeah, you're excited now, right? You remember how much fun we had with that. So if that helps you, you know that I will do that. All right? So now then, talking about feelings of accomplishment, let me start that again. Because I had a lot of accomplishment, as you heard. But the question is, did you have any accomplishment this week? And if so, did it make you feel good? Getting that big picture, I cannot tell you, when I hung that big, heavy picture above my bed, I spent a lot of time measuring it. And by the way, that's extremely difficult to do when you're on a mattress. And then I'm going, it needs to look like it's square to the ceiling. That's what I've learned, all right? Because the pillows will always be not exactly square, but the crown molding, even if the crown molding isn't square, the picture needs to be square with the crown molding. And that's what I kept remembering. And then I was measuring it in terms of where is the wire behind that picture, because that picture has heavy wire behind it. And then remember that that's going to be that much, it was quite a process. But I was so happy when it was done and I went, oh yeah. That looks good. So it was a huge, I've had it on the list for a long time, but I was not brave enough to do it because guess what? It's on a feature wall. And by the way, did I scratch the wall putting it up? Yes. Now then, here's the thing about accomplishment. Can you remember a couple of weeks ago, I actually dinged that wall accidentally and learned that I could patch it up without you being able to see that there'd been a ding. Remember that from a couple of weeks ago? You see, when the picture, when I accidentally overbalanced on the bed and the corner of the picture frame hit the wall and scraped it, I went, oh yeah, lovely. And you know something? When the picture was square, first things first, get the picture square, and I did. Then I got off the bed and I went, you remember those little bottles that I decanted of the colors on my walls? I took one of those bottles, I took a Q-tip, I poured a little bit of paint on the Q-tip, and I just went, waited for it to dry. Did it dry well? A little bit more. Boom. You cannot see that I did that. But think about that. In order to achieve that so easily, I needed to make the mistake 2 weeks before. Can any of you see that process? That sometimes the mistakes we make are so we can learn the lesson we're going to need in a couple of weeks, which I did. I was quite excited about that. Venice is saying, when I had energy early morning, my Tupperware cabinet was a disaster and everything always falls over. So I had enough and I reorganized it. Now it looks so much better. And yes, you'll send me the before and after. All right, now tonight I'm going to talk about something that happened with my fridge this week. So you're going to enjoy that because you'll be able to relate. So think about that. Remember, it was when I overcame the fear of putting up the little shelf that gave me the motivation to go ahead, knowing I knew how to patch walls if I made a mistake, or repaint the walls. I then put up 1, 2, 3, cut the shelf, 4, 5, 6 paintings are now hanging in the house that weren't last week. So can you see that just by doing that, my house looks more lived in? Not perfect, it's not tidy yet, but it's getting there bit by bit. Remember, that's what we do. All right, so now then, next thing. This one is a difficult one for me. It's about be prepared, not scared, which we talk about every week. But you know, being prepared at the moment for something that I need to warn you about might raise a little bit of emotion. So take a deep breath here, if you will. How many of you have been seeing in the news what is happening in India? And I'm certain that you will all agree that it's devastating, the rate of escalation of the pandemic in India. I did mention it a few months ago that I thought it would happen in Africa and in India. But it is, literally it is escalating at such a rate that exponentially it's doing this. All right. And it's like you started where it was increasing, but now it's increasing like this. And because of that, the number of people dying is increasing at the same rate. Here's what I want you to think about for a second. Not only is that devastatingly sad, not only is that dangerous because of the mutation of the different pandemics that will come out of that, but how many of you know that Hinduism, the way that they bury their dead is to put them on a funeral pyre and set fire to it And that's what they do. They don't bury their dead, they set them alight. Now you're probably wondering, why is that a problem? Well, I asked myself, because you know I do, Sal, I said, what impact will that many dead bodies being put alight, what will that create in the environment? Have you thought about that? And to me, it was pretty scary. And then I thought about, what about the wood consumption? Think about that. When you think about how much wood will they need to burn that many bodies, and will it end up with deforestation of India just to burn the bodies? Worth thinking about. So I did a little bit of research, and I was pretty shocked. Here is what National Geographic said. 50 to 60 million trees are burned during cremations every year in India, according to the blah, blah, blah. Okay, a Delhi-based NGO working to reduce the environmental impact of funeral pyres. When you are burning those trees, you're emitting about 88 million tons of carbon dioxide or greenhouse gas emissions. Now, I don't know about you, but they said 50 to 60 million trees. By the way, I thought you'd like to know that they said that back in 2011. It's 10 years later. You know, the number of funerals normally would have exponentially grown, and now we've got the pandemic. Can you imagine what is happening to the environment because of the fact they're burning the bodies? Now then, apparently there was quite a push to try and get the Hindu nation to actually use what do you call it, gas for the cremation rather than wood. And they're still not happy about doing that. But you know what? I started to ask myself, well, what about that? If you have a normal cremation, is that toxic? Because, I asked those questions to myself. And being me, I looked it up. And this is what I found. Listen to this. There's an amazing amount of toxic stuff that gets released in a cremation. The mercury amalgam for dental fillings, all right, that aren't removed. There are all sorts of stuff that happen. As things like silicone breast implants, going up in flames is not a good idea. And radioactive or toxic traces, if you think about, we cremate animals that have got radio chips in them, those sort of things. And so we look at it and go, you think cremation is the better way, but in a way, it also puts a lot of toxins into the world. So can we be without it? Probably not. However, the reason I'm mentioning it is because I try to make sure that I think about things that may happen, right? That's the way my mind works. So if you start hearing that the greenhouse gas emissions have gone up dramatically, that the hole in the ozone is growing, you will go, yep, I knew that was coming. And do you understand why I'm telling you? It is my belief that you will start hearing that within the next couple of years. And it will be because of the amount of wood that is being burned, the amount of bodies that are being burned. And unless we get India and Africa under control with vaccines, it's going to get a whole lot worse. Got a long way to go with that. Any comments on that one? Dennis is saying, I'm scared for them and how much that would be an effect to everyone that is there. It's horrific. It really is horrific. There's no doubt about it. So anybody else got any comments before I move on? Let me have them. You know, I encourage you to ask these questions of yourself. You know, just go like, what happens if, and then Google it and see. By the way, be careful where you Google, please. As I've said to you many times, you know, to me, National Geographic, I trust what they have to say, right? It's not somebody ranting and raving. And wasn't that amazing that was even 10 years ago, they were in critical situation. So, you know, let's see whether we can do this any better. All right, so if nobody's got any other comments on that, the next thing I wanted to talk about. Oh, hang on a second. Jody's saying you brought up an issue I haven't thought about, the environmental impact of cremation. Yep. I'd like to get you thinking, Jody. All right? Like we haven't got enough to worry about. But, you know, to me, it was like, I wonder. I knew it must be bad. Do you know why I knew it must be bad? And, you know, forgive me for this one. But when you think about it, you know, hospitals, how tall are their chimney stacks? Because of that, right? Their chimney stacks are pretty high up and they've got filters on them. So I knew that there must be a reason for that. And it wasn't just because of odor. That was about they need it high in the air. Scary stuff. Did anybody have any fun unboxing this week? Obviously, the command shelf was high on my list. I enjoyed that. Now, the other thing I got, hold on one second. The other thing I got was, for those, oh, Bernice, you haven't seen the new shower. Or maybe you have. Have you seen the new shower, Bernice? Because, you know, when I rebuilt, they rebuilt me a new shower. Hang on one second. Let me see. Yeah. Okay, here you go, honey. How do you like my new shower? And it's not finished yet. There's still a couple of improvements coming, but there it is. Isn't that beautiful? And by the way, Bernice, my showers take longer now. And, you know, and I started to think about it. The reason they take longer is because I don't get out until I've cleaned all the shower things. And I'm going to talk about that tonight. Anyway, one of the things I noticed about having a shower, and that's why I had to have something to unbox, is that it's getting more difficult for me to lean down and clean the floor pan of the shower because it's so big, right? It's twice the size of a normal shower. So I got myself a little handy scrubber thing, and it's got, maybe if I'd read the instructions on that, that would have been a good thing. I'll find out how to do that, but it's got two different heads on it. One is a brush, and then one is this. And now I can clean the tile high up, all right, easily. All right, so not a luxury at my age. This is what I call important safety thing, because you don't want me up on a step ladder trying to clean that, you know, the high up tile. And also what I loved about it, it's got the corner piece. All right, so I can get into the corners easily anywhere. Right, so that's one thing I got this week. What do you think? I bought They're covers. I bought the covers. Remember what I said? What my goal now is to have different cushion covers for different times of the year. I know, isn't it beautiful? And so, you know, shag is back, people. Yeah, the 70s all over again. Next thing we'll be having orange clothes again. But, you know, it was just like, how could I have two? Yes, Jody, I have that on my list. But Jody actually bought herself an immersion blender this week. So isn't that awesome? And how many of you know that just seeing that made me happy? Right? Now that's an interesting thing. Bernice is saying about the immersion blender, oh, soups. Immediately she thought, oh, soups. What I said to Jody was, isn't it funny? Since I got my big Ninja, and you know, it has its own special smoothie thing. I find I make soups in here now, because what I find is I make soup and then it's too much soup. And I'll talk about that tonight when I talk about my fridge. But it's like now I've learned make enough soup for one day. That's interesting. You remember I was saying about, you know, if we got shag back, that means the orange clothes are coming back. And Jody's saying, bring back the orange clothes if we must, but please not the avocado appliances. This is one thing I have learned, Jody. If you're buying appliances, buy them black, white, or stainless. Forget any other color. White will always look bright. And this was already in the house when I bought it. Stainless steel will always look classy. Black, you know, will always fit in if you've got black countertops or whatever, it'll make it look good. But other than that, the other thing is, you know why it's a good idea as well to have black, white, or stainless? They chipped my stove. And what I did is I got some white paint and I put a white paint on it. Now it's not perfect, and I'll be talking to the renovation people when they do the final walk around and going, hey, if you've got somebody that can make that look good, I'd appreciate it. I've just touched it up with a bit of white paint in the meantime, but yeah, I'd like it properly done. Got the same problem with my freezer and with my washer dryer. And that's why white is a nice color to have, because to the naked eye, it now looks perfect. Yeah, if you get close to it, it isn't, but yeah, it's better than it was. So think about that, which is, are you making soups? I keep making soups and I don't eat them. So they've got to become part of my day, not in the summer, but in the winter, I'm definitely going to. But I'm going to make sure I don't make more than enough for a day or two. And I'm not going to put them in the freezer. Right? Because otherwise I will just have a freezer full of soup. Just so you know. Anybody else have any other unboxings they'd like to talk about? Or anything else that you'd like to talk about? This would be the time to tell me. So, Jody, the question that I have is, have I covered enough of how to put that shelf up for you to understand it? Do you feel a little bit more confident about it now? Especially when you saw how nice it looks. You've got a 3D printer, Bernice. That is really exciting. I would think an expensive hobby. Is the ink very expensive? Plastic ink, isn't that amazing? I thought about getting one, but I thought, no, I've got so many hobbies. Why would I start that? Why would I even start it? One of my goals is, I'm not ready for it yet. One of my goals is to get the craft room and done enough that I can hook up the die cutter so I can do engraving and stuff. By the way, my goal for this week, anybody got a goal for this week? I'm going to feel a sense of accomplishment when I have cleared my dining room table. That's been my workbench for the last month. I have still got one project to build on it. That's the last project that I have to build. And then I have some things that I need to put away. Then I can clean the table and set it up again. So it is my goal to next week, when I talk about the feelings of achievement, that I can tell you that the dining room table is clear. All right, what about you guys? What would you like to achieve? What would give you a feeling of achievement, a small step that you can take by this time next week? Jody's saying, my goal is finishing my medical paperwork. That'll be a great relief. Yes, it will probably help, Jody, if a friend of yours didn't talk to you through the night discussing other things. However, I will be a better friend and I will keep asking you if that paperwork is finished or not. How about that? And I will just, be on your case. How much more do you think you have to do? And this is just for your regular medical paperwork, right? This is not for your operation, or is it? All right. And Bernice is saying, my goal is to tidy up everything in the dining room and living room, start laundry again, and clear all the dishes. That sounds like overwhelm to me, Bernice. All right. So which one are you going to start with? Yeah, I would never give myself that much. If I got that done, I'd be happy. But what I would say is my number one step is I want to start the laundry again. And once I've done that, then my next step is I would like to do this. So do it in order. Don't have all three. Yeah, write all three down. Put it on your list of my dream is. But I think you can start the laundry while you do the dishes. Yes, I get that part of your routine. I find that really helps. I have a system now. When I finished getting squeaky clean, I pick up my dirty laundry, I take it into the laundry room, and my problem is I have the biggest washer dryer in the business. I've never seen one bigger. Not even anywhere. And so I have to let go of the fact that that I can do the laundry when the thing is only this deep. But you understand, the thing is about this wide. And so the fact it's this deep, it's still a lot of clothes. It is a huge washer dryer. Love it. I can get my duvet and my sheets and my pillowcases and other things in it all at the same time. I'm serious. A duvet and the sheets. And the duvet cover and the pillowcases, and I've still got room for stuff. Can you believe it? And it's not packed up. It's just like, okay. All right. So Jody's saying it's her yearly paperwork. That's right. That's what I thought. It's not for the surgery. It's your annual stuff, all right? I have a few days remaining to finish the questions. If I complete one per day. All right, Jody, so you'll be reporting every day when you've finished your question of the day? Can I hold you accountable for that? You'll let me know? I've finished today's question. The same as I am now telling you that I've done my steps. And by the way, I have started, yeah, there you go, Jody. You're going to feel a great sense of accomplishment. I just wanted to let you know that let me see how many steps I did in April. Remembering that 56,000 is a marathon, all right? So the first week of April, and that I haven't been consciously doing them. This is about how much exercise I've been getting since I got back to my new house, my new revamped house. This is how much I have done naturally, if you like. The first week I was back, I did 41,000 steps, 52,000 the second week, big unpacking week, 44,500 the third week, and this week I'm already up to 41.5, and I've still got a day to go, 2 days, to the rest of today and tomorrow. So you can tell that I am putting in an average now of I am actually averaging close to 8,000 steps a day. Let's say even actually it says 7.8 is what I'm averaging at the moment. So you think about it, and that's without really trying. Now, yesterday I tried. Yesterday was a day I should have put in a lot of steps, but I was busy doing other things. What was I doing yesterday? Oh, getting ready for the broadcast. And so what I did was I checked to see how many steps I'd done by about 5 o'clock, and it was only about 2,500. And I went, whoa. And then I've got a calculator that I designed that tells me, with my Wii program, how many times do I need to go around the island to get to 8,000 steps? And it told me I needed to do something like 3.8 laps around the island. I'm going, that's a lot of walking. But you know something? I did it. I actually, it took more than that. It took over four and a half, I think, laps to get it up to 8,000. But what I did is I did 3 laps, literally finished the lap, started it again, did another one, started it again, did another one, and then I went, now I'm tired. So I stopped for half an hour, and then I went back and did another one. And that brought me up to the 8,000. And again, I felt like a winner, not a loser. All right, because this was, my health is important. Now, the question is, I'm pretty surprised to tell you that I've lost about 3 inches on my waist. Not my weight, but on my waist, which means, where is it going? I'm not quite sure where it's going. Little finger, I don't know, but it's redistributing somehow. And any minute now, I'm going to have, a curve again. Actually, maybe I'm beginning to get one again anyway. Oh, that would be nice, wouldn't it? But, that's what I'm looking for. It's this. I need to get rid of this. But it's not going to go away. Jody's saying my weight. She said, I found it, so it moved to New Hampshire, which is where Jody is. But, Jody, I want to tell you that it's really weird. Everything that you do, that you've been working on, slowly is filtering into the back of my brain. That's what I found out. Because I'm going, what do I hear from Jody? I hear from Jody that basically she can live on shakes. It is healthy to make protein shakes, and that will keep you sustained if necessary. So, and as you all know, I decided to do what I call the Anderson thing. Anderson Cooper says he eats exactly the same thing every day because he knows then it keeps him fit and well and blood sugar is under control and everything. Now, I'm pretty good up until about 8 o'clock at night, and then I start to lose it a bit, but I'm learning. I get up in the morning and I don't have breakfast. For example, I haven't had breakfast yet. I've had this is my second cup of coffee. And I'm not hungry. Why? Because my new routine is I don't eat breakfast until about 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That's intermittent fasting, right, Jody? I go to sleep at about 1. So it's the 12-8, basically. But here's what I do, and this is something because of what I'm learning from Jody. My breakfast is a protein shake. All right. So for breakfast, what I'm having is half a banana in some, what do you call that stuff? Almond milk. And I put in a little bit of vanilla powder some days. And I blend it up. And then I sip on that. And it's amazing that how that fills me up. And I can see the wisdom of that. And then the next meal I have is really lunch. And my lunch is probably more like a protein snack for me. What I do is I'll have a salad made from my salad bar out on the deck. I'll make a salad, and that salad will have some protein on it. You know, it'll have cheese on it, or feta cheese on it, or other cheese on it. It will have sometimes it'll have bacon in it because that's a protein. And then I will have tomatoes. Oh, sometimes I'll have a boiled egg, protein. And sometimes I will have deli meat, protein. So what I'm looking for is that lunchtime, I have a fairly decent size, probably about this size of salad with the other things. And so far, the combination of doing that and getting the 8,000 steps in appears to be shifting the inches around my waist. However, what I'm trying to work on is my BMI index. As you all know, it is my goal to be overweight. Not obese, overweight. Can you imagine? Now, how many of you think I will actually get there? I've been trying for a long time. And I got so close to it for a while. By the way, the horror story is apparently for my height, the WE program tells me that my ideal weight is about 140 pounds. In your dreams, I wasn't 140 pounds in high school. All right, when I was doing all those sports and everything else, it's like I don't think I need to be 140 pounds. I think that would look a little weird on me, but I am not quitting. Jody knows me well enough. I'm not quitting. I will keep stretching the envelope because that's who I am. But if you notice that every few months, the norm is different, and then I stretch the envelope, and then I come down again and stretch the envelope, and come down again and stretch the envelope. I'm building muscle. Yeah, I really believe that it is starting to shift. But the thing is, it would have been so easy to quit on it. And I know I'm doing the right things. I know that I am absolutely convinced that I can find this Anderson plan that works for me. Every night I still have a piece of chocolate. Every night I still have some bad carbs. My diet isn't clean, Jody. If my diet were clean, my blood sugar would be perfect, and it isn't. But it's like I am getting the right combination, and it's improving every month is what I'm noticing. I'm amazed. Yesterday, as I said, I was really quite surprised. There are a couple of days where it's just like I like having the little meals. You know, I like the fact that, okay, now I can have my plate of proteins. And then later on go, okay, now it's time for me to have my plate of fruit, and I can have vegetables and cream cheese. You know, it's like I got these little bits now that I'm learning to eat instead. Whereas before I really struggled to eat them, and now I don't. And by the way, I have to tell you that learning how to make the banana ice cream was definitely a game changer for me. Right, and Jody's saying basically what I'm eating is clean with a few fingerprints. I love that. You don't indulge in many no foods. No, I have to say I'm pretty proud of myself. And as you will hear tonight about what was in my fridge, what surprises me is there's not very much nasty stuff in my fridge anymore. Now, do I have pasta? Do I have rice? Yeah. Do I eat pasta? Yes. But I no longer make a huge amount. Or if I do, I donate that. If I make a big amount, I'll take some to Yvonne, I'll take some to Betty Ann and Brian. You know, it's just like, I know that I should not have a large amount of mac and cheese in my fridge, right? I'll eat it. But can I have, you know, I allow myself, I know I can eat that much mac and cheese. You understand? So what I do is when I make mac and cheese, I put it in here and I put the cheese on top of it. And then I'll make, you know, a couple of servings and, you know, put the lids on. And when I want it, I just put it in the oven to warm up. And I know that that is portion control for me. And it doesn't spike me too much. So I think what we look at is not perfection. I want a feeling of, I controlled this myself, right? Not that somebody forced me to, but that with Jody's help and with the help of Sandy and other people, that I managed to control my diet. It took time. Because if you remember, I always said to you, my goal is not to be on a diet. My goal is to make a lifestyle change, which I think is what Noom is. You know, it's about teaching you, sure, you can have Big Mac and fries, or you can have this much healthy food. Which would you prefer? You know, and the point is when you see that the Big Mac is like this, but you can have all this healthy food, you know, along with cream cheese or whatever. It's amazing. I found that night, I love making my nightly banana ice cream. You know, literally, I just take a banana. I freeze my bananas now because I mostly use bananas in my smoothies and in my ice cream. So as soon as they start to go a little bit down, I cut them up and I freeze them. And then at night, I will make, you know, I will put frozen bananas with some strawberries and a little bit of cream, press the button, let it do its thing. And here I have got fresh strawberry ice cream. And I want to tell you, that feels indulgent. And I can also want to say, because I am doing that, I am not making other desserts that probably are a lot more dangerous for me. However, one night a week, I allow myself to have an indulgent dessert. You see, that's something that Jody taught me, which is, it's not about perfection. It's about, you know, can you improve overall? So one night a week, I allow myself to have a bad dessert. This week I made bread pudding. But, you know, I thought about it and, you know, how bad is it really? I made it with the breadcrumbs from my whole wheat bread, which I allow myself a slice of every day. Multigrain bread, rather. I made it from the breadcrumbs from there. As it starts to go off, I dry it and I just make breadcrumbs. And it has raisins in it, which we know are high sugar, but on the other hand, not bad for you. And then, what makes it really, it has eggs, that's protein, and milk, protein. And so what I find, though, is I've learned to make these indulgent choices, all right? And what makes it absolutely blissful is a teaspoon or two of no sugar added type jam on bread pudding is really amazing. And you're going, how bad is no sugar added jam? 2% carbs per tablespoon. So I have about a tablespoon when I have it. So 2% carbs of 4 grams of sugars. Now, normally, in the old days, I would have put loads of regular sugar on top. I don't put sugar in when I make it, right? I just make it with milk and egg, and throw in some raisins and the bread. And then I put about a tablespoon of this jam over the top after it's cooked. And so I'm learning, Jody, thank you. And it tastes wonderful to me. So, step by step, we can do this. I'm feeling pretty good this week. And I started the week feeling pretty down on myself, I've got to say. So my question to you is, what would make you feel better this week? All right. Jody, how is your pain level? I know that you have had a really tough week or a couple of weeks with pain, and I wondered how your pain level is. And what we can do to support you in that. Is there anything that we can do other than keep checking in with you? Jody, tonight I'm going to talk to you a little bit as well about my edema. That's where my body was swelling up, because I've had some major progress in that, and I want to talk about that tonight because it's about my life. All right, so there we go. I hope that you have enjoyed this broadcast. I hope that you can see that being aware of your feelings is not necessarily getting sucked into them. I started the week not brilliant, feeling brilliant. And then I said, what are you going to do about it, Sal? If you want to feel better, you need to achieve stuff. You need to be around people in some way. And, and you will hear this evening some of the things that I did, to change that by making sure I did something about it. Not that I just felt sorry for myself. No more pity parties, Al. Get off your butt and do something. And so tonight, I will talk more about what I did to change those feelings around. Plus, hopefully hear some of the things that you are doing in your life. So I hope you've enjoyed the broadcast. And by the way, for those of you who are in the room right now, tell me, what was of most interest to you? In other words, what we're looking for is, I'm going to be editing out a couple of segments from this broadcast and turning them into standalones, at least one, maybe 2 or 3. So I'd like to know, what, if you only had time to watch a short version of this, which bit would you have found most valuable? All right. And if you're watching on the replay, let me know as well. And just so that I can make sure that we, edit the right ones. How many of you, for example, found my story about the Amazon delivery problem? You know, it's like, here is the problem. What are you going to do about it? Am I going to blame them, or am I going to take responsibility? And I look at that. How about, you know, the fine line between love and grief, you know? Yes, Jody's saying, talking about love and grief. And experiments like the command shell. Oh, and what about this one? Yeah, I think those two would be a good standalone. Good idea. All right. Now I've got to remember where we did that. All right, everybody. So this is me saying, I felt a lot this week, and I feel a lot better now. I look forward to seeing you this evening. Join me again at 7 o'clock Pacific time when we'll talk about coping with life. Thank you, Jody, for all that you've done this week, and regardless of everything else you're doing. Thank all of you so much for being here. And thank you, Manon, for sharing your story. It was incredible. This is DearMamaSal saying, please remember to look after one another. But most of all, let me just remind you of one thing. Just hold on before I go. Let me just remind you of something. 238 days until Christmas. Have you bought any presents yet? I actually have. I'm quite surprised. I still haven't found the vanilla, by the way. I'm still trying to find that box with the vanilla essence in it. You've got 7 months to post those overseas Christmas cards. Thanksgiving, Jody, is only 6 months and 29 days ago. Wait, stop planning the menu. You look at it and go, Canadian Thanksgiving is only 5 months away and 2 weeks. Summer for us in the Northern Hemisphere is just 50 days away, which means winter for Nolene and Lauren and all those of you living south of the equator. Winter is only 50 days away. Again, tonight I'm going to be talking to you about some scams that are coming up because of the time of year, and I'll explain why. And the clocks will spring forward. We did that, so I'm going to have to change that. I've got to remember. Jody, can you make a note, please? I need to find out when the clocks will go back again for us. To me, this has been, we are actually only, we're not that far away from anything, are we? That's scary. I have now owned the house. Listen to this one. I've now owned the house for 1 year and 2 weeks. And I was only living in it. I was away from it for 6 months, exactly 6 months to the day. Isn't that incredible? So let's do this. Let's remember Christmas is coming up fast. I would challenge you all to think about, is there any way I can buy one Christmas present a month between now and Christmas? Rather, be prepared for Christmas this year better. And I am starting to plan. You're going to hear about some of the other things I'm planning now, because I am on a reduced budget now. Plus, I've got things I still need to do. I kept putting off buying the units for the bedroom because I'm going, well, the boxes will suffice. The moving boxes, I've got them on their sides open so I can put things in them. And and then I realize, if I go over to IKEA and buy the units I want, I could then also see Paddy for lunch, and that would be a good thing. So that's what we're going to do. And I'm going to do that next week. So I'm a great believer that things happen in their own time. This is DearMamaSal saying, feel what you have to feel. Don't get sucked into it all. Move on. Get on with your life. Make it happy. It is your job to make your life happy, not somebody else's. This DearMamaSal say, love you dearly. We'll see you tonight. And bye-bye for now.